I
I
am a strong woman.
am a strong woman.
I
I
am powerful.
am powerful.
I
I
could overcome anything.
Hi y'all, thank you for the intro. My name is Lolo and I'm actually in San Jose now, so it's been a wild transition, yeah. So I don't know if anybody else traveled from the Bay, but there's landslides apparently, so the freeways are not it this morning, but
Unstoppable.
yeah, unstoppable. We're here. So I did open Uplift Community Wellness Studio about a year ago in Merced, and that was really a dream after 10 years in the higher education field. So I was one of those folks who was really passionate about the work of social justice and healing and kind of combining how do we think about wellness in more radical ways. And in the sector of higher education that I was working in, it was awesome to impact so many first-gen students in particular, but along the way I was losing the ability to really take that spirit of entrepreneurship that I was craving. So when I opened the studio, my hope was to inspire really everybody, but my focus was women of color in the Central Valley to take care of themselves and really find the way to infuse their lives with wellness and healing practices so that those goals were truly unstoppable and that they could tackle any obstacles along the way to get there. But the thing we don't talk about enough is how often we dim our light as women. And I think that is the biggest challenge, is that there's an expectation for us to dim our light for the sake of others, whether that is family and taking on the role of being mom, auntie, sister, daughter, whatever it is, and putting everybody before us. If it's on the business side or we're in leadership settings in these roles with big titles and all that work has to come before our own health, before we do our own thing. To me, that has become the biggest challenge that I had to overcome in my life and that I am continuously seeing so many of the women I'm working with really push back against. So in truth, you dimming your light doesn't actually benefit anybody, right? I heard someone say, that's right, that's right. Leadership is really it's about movement and light. We're moving from one place to the next, we're moving towards our goal, we're moving to a new destination, but we can't move somewhere if we can't see it. So if you're setting that vision up for yourself, let your light shine to help you get there, because that's the way you start lighting up others and letting them to do the same. And then we can conquer all the obstacles society gives us, because they're going to be there. In reality, we can't make every obstacle that the world throws at us just go away or disappear, but we can empower ourselves to take actions to shine our light and to help others shine their lights too. The quick and easy answer for me is movement in general. So that's how I got into wellness. For me, grew up dancing, and then after multiple knee surgeries and injuries, yoga was what helped me heal and figure out how to get back into my body and just appreciate it for what it could do rather than focusing on what I couldn't do. So to this day, movement, just playing my favorite song, dancing, vibing, or if I'm not feeling or in pain, with my knees and such, then yoga fulfill me in that way. I feel like I'm probably not the only one in this room who struggles with mental health. And there's some days where just being positive, regardless of all the things you can do and mark down your self-care checklist, doesn't come easy. And today was actually one of those days for me. It was one of those days where, just woke up, all the rain and then the traffic we were struggling to get here. When things don't go according to plan and you already aren't quite in the right mood, it's what do you do to get out of that? And for me, being in spaces like this and seeing other women, it's hard to push myself to be in this space, but once I'm here, it's able to be you know what? We're not alone, to what you were saying earlier about the Powerhouse Women community, right? We can't do anything alone. So seeing so many folks smiling, the brightness of the space even, that conveys a lot. And for me, I had to take a breath, talk to the people I love. So my boyfriend and mother-in-law are here, and one of my friends from Uplift Community Wellness Studio. And those still small moments are the ways that my positivity comes back. So I can't say that I stay positive all the time. I don't think that's possible. We all have those lows, we all hit it. But just recognizing and being real that hey, today may not be my day, but I have the opportunity to shift it, take a moment, and talk to the people that love me, regardless of if I'm positive or not, and get uplifted again. So sometimes it's not internal, it's external. And I was just talking with somebody on my podcast like a couple of weeks ago, and they asked a similar question.
You have a podcast?
I do. I do. I have a podcast called Here to Uplift, and it centers the stories of women entrepreneurs and business owners. So yeah, there's amazing people on there. Y'all should listen. Just everybody who's inspired me, and the list keeps growing because, these next two next to me are on the list. So we're going to get there. My outlook on life is that I'll use it collectively. We never stop growing. So there's actually that scientific fact that every 5 to 10 years a human changes. Physically, your brain cognitively starts making little shifts of how you make decisions and all those things. But in reality, I argue with it. I think every 2 to 4 years we have major shifts in our lives, whether it be family shifts, career shifts, or just something pulling and tugging on our heart. So for me, it's when I started understanding what my intuition actually felt like, instead of just the voices in my head that I think I'm listening to telling me to go one way or another, that shifted my outlook on life to say I'm not growing towards a goal, I am growing endlessly. Because then it shifts not just what I think my life could look like, but what my family's life could look like together. And it takes a lot of what we take personal away when we really think about that everybody around us is growing and changing and that our life has no limits. At first I actually wasn't, but I appreciate this question because it made me think a little harder, because what immediately came to my mind was this is actually something I'm working out in therapy. I'll be real, y'all. Because I think there's so many, especially friends, and when you're just in networks of great women, that people are saying they believe in you. Yes. And that's exciting, that's empowering. Even on social media sometimes, you can get hyped up by your friends, folks you don't even know that well. But there are people in my life, family members I can think of, that I want and crave them to say that to me. So I don't even know who the first person who actually said it is, because the one I wanted to hear it from, I haven't heard it from, if that makes sense. That's what came to my mind when you asked this question. But also, while I can't say it's the first, the two that have meant the most to me, one's actually here right now. My partner, Anthony, he is someone who said he believed in me and my dream in moments when I stopped believing in myself. And that was huge. And then the second most important is when I finally said it to myself. Is the harder question to answer, I think, because entrepreneurship sounds real sexy, but what is entrepreneurship, right? It's a dumpster fire. And it's a journey. And I still consider myself a new entrepreneur. Every single day I'm learning and I'm learning and I'm learning. But when I started, a lot of it was because I resonate with that. I felt like I wanted more, and what I was trying to create didn't exist, so I couldn't find the mentors I was looking for, and I couldn't figure out where I belonged in the business space either. And I think it comes down to two options when you're in that zone. Either you're not in the right place because it may exist somewhere else, or you're being called to start it where you are. So for me, I felt called to start it where I was, in Merced, in that space, and I don't regret it, not one bit. I learned a lot of lessons, and at the end, it didn't work out the way I envisioned it to, and that's where I say it's not about taking the leap. It's about taking multiple leaps and being willing to bounce again, and knowing that you're gonna have to bounce multiple times. There's gonna be multiple falls, but the falls are momentary, temporary, as long as you keep getting ready to leap. So for me, I would tell my younger self really to live life for you. I think also, in addition to being a recovering perfectionist, I'm a recovering people pleaser. And there's so often that I want the people who love me to be proud, to please folks, to prove something, and they kind of go hand in hand, that perfectionism and people pleasing. And it's still a conversation I have with myself today, so I wish that I heard it earlier. And that's what I would say now to childhood Lolo, is this is your life. Live it for you, not for anybody else.